and we're doing 50 this year, and we're already taking bookings for next year. We're going to do a 30-day tour next year.
Yeah, I mean, that's heavy on the touring schedule is quite heavy. I mean, there's 3 dates I'm going to mention towards the end of the interview you're doing locally.
Yeah.
I'm looking through also the people you've worked with. Shakin' Stevens.
Yeah.
That must have been fun.
Oh, well, Shaky was, when I was, this is pre-finding Billy Joel, so early 80s. This Old House, Green Door, Raining, You Drive Me Crazy, Oh Julie, I'll Be Satisfied. I love Shakin' Stevens' record. And, he was a great frontman. But what I really, really, really loved was the band. I thought the band were just the hottest rock and roll band that I'd heard ever at that point, on modern production records, and I loved Elvis Presley's band, of course, we all loved that. But when the rock and roll revival came around at the beginning of the 80s, and Shakin' Stevens for me was right at the top of that iceberg there of incredible rock and roll.
Yeah, because he came from the Elvis musical in London. He was playing Elvis, and then he sort of suddenly hit the big time. I think he had like 20 top 10 hits in a row or something crazy.
Yeah, I think it ended up being 40 top 20 hits in the whole of the 80s.
Yeah.
In fact, Shakin' Stevens is the most successful solo artist in Britain of the entire 1980s.
Wow, that is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And in 2004, I got a call saying, would you like to come and join the band? He needs a piano player. So I jumped at it. And I had 2 years of working with Shakin' Stevens. We travelled all around the place and to Europe and stuff. And, it was great. I got to play with some great musicians as well. And I got to play with 2 of the original members of that band that I thought was storming in the middle of the 80s, at the beginning of the 80s. That was Stuart Coleman on the bass and Howard Tibble on the drums. Those 2 guys, Stuart Coleman produced all those big hits, Shakin' Stevens, right at the beginning. And there he was in the band with me playing bass, and it was a real thrill.
Yeah. And then you played with somebody I remember very well, and I used to love as a young man, Suzi Quatro.
Yeah. Well,
what a girl.
I was a sort of, I don't know, how old was I when stumbling in? Our love is a light. When that came out, 1979 was it or something?
Somewhere around that time, she was huge.
Yeah, I was 11 years old, and I loved that record. I really loved it. I thought it was just a great record. And she sang it as a duet with, is it Chris Norman, the lead singer?
They were together at the time, weren't they?
Were they?
I think so. Yes. It wasn't. It was Tucky she was with. It was Len Tucky, the guitarist she was with.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. I got it wrong.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember a year when I was a young man, all that leather and all, and that's not, well, actually, we better not keep dwelling on that one. I was going to get myself into trouble. Yeah, I mean,
we'll talk about that. She was, she's just an icon of rock and roll because she was the first woman, wasn't she? She was the first rock and roll woman, really, in the 70s to don a guitar and do it really in that way. And the glam rock era, certainly in Britain, it was again. We travelled with Suzi Quatro. We went all the way over to Australia as well. Do it all there, and we did all of Europe. Massively popular, and again, some great musicians. And I've got to say, another amazing coincidence was that in Suzi Quatro's band were 2 musicians who I grew up loving and watching in the Shakin' Stevens band again. This was Ray Beavis on the saxophone and Dick Hansen on the trumpet when Shakin' Stevens introduced a horn section to his sound in about 1983. Those 2 guys were in the Rumour Brass section, and there they were in Suzi Quatro's band. So the whole Shaky Suzi thing was very satisfying on a personal level because I got to meet some of my musical heroes.
woke up and the toilet was overflowing. Must call the plumber. Realised the kids needed swimming lessons as it's all got out of control. Luckily the old windows gave out, so we all floated outside. Must get on to the glazers. And now the garden looks atrocious. Now what was the number for that landscaper?
Because you never know when a potential customer needs you, get yourself listed in your local flyer, the local business directory. Your local flyer, bringing businesses to your fingertips.
Well, that's Elio Page singing the Billy Joel classic River of Dreams. Let's rejoin Elio. Who would you say is your musical hero? If you were going to choose one musical hero, who would it be?
Billy Joel.
Billy Joel, yeah. Okay.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah?
Billy Joel and Oscar Peterson, I would probably say.
Very, very different people as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oscar Peterson, I think, is probably the greatest piano player I've ever seen.
Yeah. So is there anybody, apart from, I suppose, Billy himself, you'd actually like to work with?
Yes, actually. I would love to have had an opportunity to have been in the studio making a record with, and this will surprise you, Benny Andersson and Bjorn Ulvaeus from ABBA.
Oh, I tell you, it's nothing wrong in that. They're a
No, I don't think there's
fabulous band.
I think those two guys, Terry, are geniuses.
They are.
Absolute geniuses. Their music, those records, their compositions, and the way they put those records together are absolutely out of this world, and I think second to no one. I think Billy Joel, for me, takes just tips them a little bit because of the lyrical content, maybe, and because of the variety that Billy brings to his music. But ABBA, for me, were just phenomenal, and as much as the two girls were such an integral part of the success for me as a musician, I know that it was Bjorn and Benny who masterminded everything.
Yeah, they were the eye candy, weren't they?
Yeah, and to have worked in the studio, I don't know, I would love to have done that.
Yeah,
studio with them.
I must admit, I had the great pleasure of seeing them at Wembley. I think it was back in 1979.
Wow.
Their last ever tour, and I think it was recorded. And if it ever comes on TV, there's a guy there, and you'll see it every so often. There's a red jumper of this arm, and I believe that jumper is my red jumper.
Wow.
Yeah, I was there, and I didn't know it was going to be their last gig in England. I went along to Wembley Arena, had my ticket, sat me backside down in the seat, had a great night. I mean, how can you not have a great night when you're listening to ABBA?
No, I know.
I defy anybody.
I agree with you.
You've got to be, they've got.
I loved ABBA, Terry, before it became cool to love.
Yeah, I know. I did back in 1979. I was at college.
All the way through the 80s, I was the odd one out because I loved Shakin' Stevens and ABBA.
Yeah.
And, all of a sudden they become cool again. But it's you're right, ABBA, and you saw such an iconic part of it. I think that was their last ever tour, wasn't it?
1979, yeah, Wembley. I don't know if it was their last ever gig in England, but it was one of their last ever gigs. And I tell you what, I had a blast. I've seen hundreds of bands since, and it's one I still remember.
Brilliant.
Which is great.
You're a lucky man to have seen.
I've missed out on a few other bands, but never mind. One other thing I was watching this morning, a program called Zingzillas. It was one episode I found on a certain channel on a YouTube channel, and I watched it, and you were on it.
Yeah, that's right.
That looked like fun.
Well, Zingzillas, for those people who don't know, is a television program on CBeebies. A fantastic channel for kids. I'm a father of a 6-year-old girl, and that program with me on it came out just after she was born, about 7 months after she was born. And the program is fantastic. The music, it's a music program, basically. It's a bit like the Sesame Street of British television. And it's about music, and it's based in the jungle, and it's people in puppets and stuff, in costumes. But the idea is to help children understand music and to recognize different instruments. And every show featured a different instrument, from piano to tuba to marimbas to accordion. And I was chosen to represent the piano, which in itself is an honor. It came via a friend of mine, a guy called Chris Banks, who is a phenomenal musician, who is the composer of the music on the show. Now, Chris had been a keyboard player in my band for a bit, and we travelled around in one of those musicals together. Fantastic musician, and he created the music for that show. And he asked me one day, he said, "Listen, we're going to do a show on the piano. Do you want to come and do some boogie woogie?" And I said, "Well, I'd love to. So I went to Pinewood Studios one day. Actually, no, I lie. I went to Zingzilla Island one day.
Yeah.
They flew me to Zingzilla Island. I've got to say that because I don't want to spoil the illusion for everyone. And there I was in the jungle playing the piano. It was great fun.
Yeah.
And of course, I was a hero to my little girl.
I was going to say, Daddy must be cool when you're on there.
Yes, he is. But do you know what's funny, Terry? Of all the stuff we've spoken about up to this point of my career, all the stuff, me being on Zingzillas has garnered more interest and more hits on YouTube than anything else.
Yeah. You've got one more today because I had a look first thing this morning. Yeah, you're the greatest boogie woogie player in the land, which is fabulous.
Well, that was their words. But
Yeah. It's good. One thing I've been watching Sky TV recently, and I've seen you on there. You're on an advert for the Ashes.
That's right. Yeah.
How did that?
I'm not a cricket fan.
I was going to ask you that. Are you a cricket fan? I am.
Are you?
Yes.
Right. Okay. I love football and tennis and snooker, and I used to play all of them. But cricket isn't one of the sports, along with rugby and golf, that I really watch or know anything about. So, but it doesn't matter because it was a producer from Sky Sports that contacted me and said, "We've seen you on YouTube again, and would you like to come and record a new version